Good day, everybody. Mike Leibovitz, another exciting episode of On the Fly Wi-Fi. Today we have two guests, although one of them is still a little bit fashionably late, and I apologize for a bit of a late start here, but we are kicking off Wireless Field Day 7 with a little bit of style. On the line right now, we do have Tom Hollingsworth. Oh, and our fashionably late fellow actually just is joining as well. But Tom, why don't you kick off and say hello. Steve, welcome, and thanks for joining as well.
Hi there.
Thank you. Hello.
So I'll go ahead and get started. I'm Tom Hollingsworth. I am a community organizer at Tech Field Day, and I am a former networking engineer, man about town, and very interested in Wi-Fi.
And Steve, why don't you give us a quick introduction?
Sure. Can you guys can hear me okay? I'm at a very unusual place for most people, but a very normal place for me. I am at the Cleveland Airport. So, see, there we go. Hello, I'm Stephen Foskett. I'm the organizer of the Tech Field Day events, and I'm glad that I could join you all for this, even though it is a little bit hectic today here.
Hey, you're living the true life of Wi-Fi right now. We've never had a guest as remote as you are, so that's pretty darn cool.
Well, I'm connecting over Wi-Fi, and I've got my Bluetooth headphones here. Aren't they sexy?
Those are pretty
so it's working out okay.
So why don't we start? I don't know. One of you guys want to talk just a little bit about Wireless Field Day? How you guys even conceived this concept, because it's more than just Wireless Field Day. There's a couple other events, but maybe one of you guys want to kick off with where this all started, what it's all about, and why it's so exciting.
So I guess I'll start since I started it. So I started Tech Field Day sort of on a whim in 2009 as an all-topics technology event. That's why we called it Gestalt IT, because Gestalt means basically everything. And so the idea originally was that we would have every topic represented. We later decided to split it out into multiple different topics, and we the first one that we split out was Networking Field Day, because the networking folks, there was a lot of interesting companies, a lot of people in that space who had specific things that they wanted to talk about with regard to their particular industry. So we had a networking field day. Intentionally, I very cleverly invited a Wi-Fi person to the networking field day as well, because I intended to make a wireless field day. Everybody had asked for it, just at the same time they had asked for networking, and that sort of set the stage for moving on into wireless as a topic. And so now we are currently on Wireless Field Day number 7, which means that we've been running the event for 3.5 years, since we have 2 in each topic per year. And it's been going wonderfully. Turned out the wireless space really needed an event like Tech Field Day, where they could meet with independent writers and podcasters and speakers and talk about Wi-Fi tech. And so that's where it came from.
Yeah, and maybe Tom, if you want to hit on, it's kind of interesting you say wireless kind of needed this. Do you guys see anything competitive at all in terms of the event that you guys run across any of the gambits that you go after: networking, virtualization, wireless, and storage, right?
Yeah, those are the 4 that we run. It's kind of interesting that a lot of the other shows, they have Cisco Live or VMworld are the large shows that deal a lot with networking and storage virtualization verticals, but wireless didn't have anything like this, because wireless is kind of fractured. You have mobility, you have a lot of the networking pieces that go along with wireless, but they don't necessarily fit in. And I didn't realize that until I was a delegate at Wireless Field Day 1. And I go in for the first time, and I'm like, oh, I know about wireless. Come on, I've installed it. And then I start talking to the wireless people who do it all the time, and they start talking about RF, interference patterns, all of the specialty pieces that people who are not exposed to wireless every day wouldn't know. And I go, Wow. Okay. So I don't know a lot about wireless, and as Wireless Field Day has progressed from the first one now up until we've had so many since then, I have learned a lot from wireless, both being a delegate and a part of the event, that I can see things that even other people just starting out in the industry need to know about it, and that's to me what's so important about Wireless Field Day is it's bringing this world to a new group of people every 6 months that are saying, hey, I need to get involved and I need to know what's going on. Where can I go to see that?
So I got to say it the right way, not to offend any of the delegates. Where do the delegates come from? And I mean that in a, how do you choose the delegates? Obviously not, where do these guys come from? You certainly, from a wireless perspective, have got a pretty interesting a cast of characters and great guys. What's the selection process? How do you guys choose these delegates?
Well, I guess I'll take that one since Tom took the last one. We have to alternate or we'll kill each other. So the selection process is actually pretty democratic. We have a nomination form online where anyone can nominate anyone, and that basically puts them in the hopper, puts them in the meat grinder, so that we can then go out and take a look at these people. We maintain a huge, well, I was going to say database, but technically it's a spreadsheet. But yes, we maintain a huge database of people based on nominations like that, and also based on people that folks recommend verbally, in email, on Twitter, whatever. And we try to pick people based on their inherent qualities. So we judge everybody on their own merit. It's not a ranking system where these people win, these people lose. But basically, we're looking for three things in the delegates. We're looking for people who are independent and open-minded, which is absolutely critical for an event like Tech Field Day, because in a single day, somebody could be talking to Aruba and Ruckus and Aerohive and Airtight and Extreme and Cisco, and if they're not open-minded about products, if they're going to come in there with an axe to grind about one of those products, well, that's just not going to work. So we make sure that people are open-minded, and to me, independence is really kind of a shades of gray thing. It's not either you are or you aren't. We all have things that we prefer and products that we use all the time, and it's something that we know as we see, and so we judge those really personally. We take a look, we look at their writing, we look what they're writing about, we look what they're speaking about. We literally get to know them and talk to them and find out, in our opinion, if they're, if they meet the bar for independence, not if they are, a 1 or a 0. Then the other thing we're looking for is people who have a lot of technical information, technical knowledge, wireless skills. In the wireless space, that's actually, really, really important, because what you guys do is so technical. Storage, storage is easy. Networking, that's just plumbing. But wireless, that's tough. And so Tom. And so, we're looking for people who have deep technical skills. And the reason for that is that we want to have a technical discussion. We don't want it to be a discussion of market share or of pricing or of, anything else. We want it to be a discussion of how does this stuff work? And that's where the magic comes. So that's the second thing that we're looking for. The third thing we're looking for is people who have some kind of a platform. Everybody who comes to Wireless Field Day, I hate to call them bloggers, because of course some of them are bloggers, some of them have a blog and blog, but many of them actually have other things that they do. So we have a lot of folks who do podcasts, who do seminars, who speak at industry events, all sorts of different things like that. And so, essentially the audience is a magnifier. That's why we call them delegates, because they're representing their audience at the table. They're not just there because we like them. They're there because they represent a broader audience.
Yeah, well, and it's kind of an interesting form, right? Because you bring delegates. It's kind of the ultimate steel cage match, right? Is you bring delegates in a room with the vendor, and the whole thing's happening, yet it's being webcasted live to the internet, and there's a whole social aspect that's going on at the same time through Twitter. Tom, who do you think, maybe your opinion, gets the most out of Wireless Field Day? The delegates, the vendors, the internet community? What do you think?
I think they all get something important from it. The delegates get the ability to interact with vendors in a very safe environment. We've all been to trade shows before where you walk up and you want to start talking to someone, and the very first thing they say is, "Oh, can I scan your badge?" No. I'm the worst qualified lead you could imagine, so don't scan my badge. The vendors get access to people that matter. These are the people you want to be talking to, the influencers, the folks who are not only making decisions about whether or not this technology should be used, but also making the decisions that they're telling other people about. And then the people in the internet community, they get the ability to watch that interaction. It's not so much a presentation, it's a discussion. So, Extreme Networks may be able to get up and start talking to, say, Keith Parsons or Blake Croney or any one of a number of influencers. And the people who are watching online and participating, following on Twitter, they can actually ask questions for these people to relay into the room. And they get to have their questions answered. They may not be physically present in the room, but the delegates that are there are acting as proxies for them as well. And that's really what it's about.
Yeah, and I think that actually, I remember the first time I participated remotely. I think it was maybe 2 years ago, before I had an opportunity to come and present. I remember that social interaction. I think it was with Lee, where I posed a question and he iterated the question into the room to the vendor. Do you think that the platform would be successful without the social and video elements? I mean, would it all? I mean, obviously the video is one part, but without the social network driving behind it, I mean, how important and key is that as a catalyst for you guys?
Well, that's what we do. We are all about community and specifically about social media. And the reason is because of the nature of social media. I mean, social media is how people engage nowadays. It's how people learn about products. It's how people discuss products. It's how people learn about each other and talk about whatever they want to talk about. I mean, it's no different in the networking space, in the wireless space, than it is in the, the cooking and, craft space. I mean, people meet online. It's critically important. So we've always had the social aspect. But one thing that a lot of people don't know is that we didn't always have the video aspect. We originally had a camera crew recording. We've always had a camera crew recording the event, but we never actually did anything with that video originally. We didn't post it. We didn't live stream it. Live streaming was actually something that was brought to the table, literally to the table. It was a camera set on the table by one of the delegates at one of the events. Do you remember who that was, Tom? Who did the initial live streaming?
I think it was Jennifer Huber at Networking Field Day 1.
I think you're right. I was going to say that too, but I didn't want to say it because I wasn't sure if I was right about that. But yeah, I think that I think that's what it was. So I'm glad we were able to mind meld there. Yeah, and so it was such a great addition to be able to live stream what was going on in the room that we immediately went back to the video crew and said, how can we do this as a thing? How can this become part of Tech Field Day? And many tries and much equipment later, we've pretty much got it licked.
Well, it's kind of it's almost taken on a life of its own in terms of I don't know if you'd say kind of an underground community, because I think it's much more above ground. What's the biggest surprise? Maybe I'll ask each of you guys. What's the biggest surprise? I mean, when you guys started, obviously you had thoughts and minds. Here you are, growing a pretty interesting and I think successful platform. What's kind of the biggest surprise you guys have seen to date doing this?
Why don't you go first, Tom? Otherwise, we're not alternating.
Well, thank you. Actually, I think for me, one of the biggest surprises was from a Networking Field Day event. We were introduced to a new switch line from a vendor, and at the time, the switch didn't even have a name yet. But when the official release date happened, and I was looking through the articles talking about the switch and all of its capabilities, I noticed that there was a link to a presentation about it. When I clicked on it, it was our presentation that was live streamed from Networking Field Day. And I clicked on it and put two and two together and suddenly realized that the thing that we had listened to a few months ago was now this thing that had a name and everything like that. And I was like, wow, things that we're doing are mattering later on down the road, that they're becoming reference points for people.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, Steve.
Yeah, I agree, and it's totally cool. I mean, just some examples. About a half a dozen different companies in enterprise IT have launched at our event. Sorry. There's including some pretty successful ones. There's, as Tom said, there's videos out there. We've got some videos with over 10,000 views on YouTube. Some of our videos have become somewhat, I don't want to say, I don't overstate it, but they've become important to the companies. So, for example, one of the companies said that they use our video as their standard training for all new hires and everybody who interviews. They tell them to go watch the Tech Field Day video because it's the best description of the company's technology. Stuff like that has just been really, really a lot of fun. And I mean, to me, though, the most surprising thing about Tech Field Day is that Tech Field Day exists today. We did this, as I said, on a lark, and I didn't think that this was going to be a thing. I thought it was going to be something we would do, and it would be done. And so I really think the most surprising thing at all is that we're sitting here in 2014, and Tom and I both do Tech Field Day for a living. That's got to be the most amazing part of it for me.
Yeah, and I guess I mean, I don't want to ask the wrong question, but I mean, this has turned into a full-time gig for you guys, right? I mean, this is what you guys.
Oh yeah. Yep, and we do the Tech Field Day events. We also do Tech Field Day extra events at other industry events like VMworld and Cisco Live and so on. And we do other work as well. So we've also got white papers and other videos that we produce and seminars and so on. But Tech Field Day is really the signature event for us.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what do you guys, and maybe now you guys are starting to reveal your roadmap. What do you guys see in terms of what else? Like, what's the next big thing? Road shows, community events. I mean, are you guys striving to get up into that sort of stratosphere to take yourselves around the country type thing, or even around the world?
Well, a lot of people have said that. A lot of people have recommended that we should franchise it, do camping field day and stuff like that. Well, that's not the plan. We're a small group. We're not trying to be, we're not trying to rule the world or something. We're not, some kind of Silicon Valley startup with visions of grandeur. We just want to have a great event for the people that we know and the topics that we know. So right now, the plan is to do Tech Field Day and to do Tech Field Day well. In fact, we've done symposium events and things like that, and we decided that we're going to focus on Tech Field Day because that's what we love. And so, yeah, so that's the plan. We may add other topics. In fact, we're planning on adding a big data field day, but we are not planning on, conquering the media universe or expanding into other areas that are unrelated. We just want Tech Field Day to be the best event it can be.
And I know often a question that I've heard, how do you participate, right? I mean, I think you guys probably get asked all the time, like, how does somebody get selected to be a delegate? I know there's some new wireless delegates that are coming this time around, and I think a lot of people kind of want to be a delegate. What do they need to do to kind of qualify and maybe bump somebody off the island, if you will? Tom?
Well, it's really easy. If you head over to techfieldday.com and you click on the Delegates tab, there's actually a form you can fill out that will say, I want to be a Tech Field Day delegate. And what that does is that puts you in our database. And so we can go and then find out a little bit more about you. Are you a writer? Are you a podcaster? Are you a prognosticator on Twitter? It brings you into our radar. But there are also a lot of people that are on our radar that we're constantly interacting with, because it's not just us looking at the form that gets filled out. We're always talking to people in the community. We're like, who's doing something really awesome? Who's going out there and creating new content or helping people with training and things like that. And it gives them an opportunity to pick out people who are doing really well and who are a vital part of what's going on and say, I think that this person would be a great Tech Field Day delegate.
So is there actually a process to nominate delegates?
Yes, there is.
Yep. Yeah, there's a form. If you at techfieldday.com, there's a menu that says delegate, and there's a link that says become a Tech Field Day delegate. And if they click there, there's a form embedded right there in that page that people can be nominated. And on the flip side too, we also have a form for becoming a Field Day sponsor. So companies that are interested in sponsoring it can theoretically fill out a form as well. That usually doesn't happen. Usually what happens is the companies that are interested contact one of us through email or just call me on the phone and say, hey, we want to be part of it. Or like you, they just kind of become part of it, and then we figure out a way to make it happen.
So I was going to ask the question: have you guys ever denied a vendor for any given reason? I'm not trying to pull competitive, but is there anything special that a vendor has to do to qualify or be permitted to have the stage? And then ultimately, it's the stage that we're getting to sponsor the event.
Well, we don't review the presentations. We're not, there's no selection process or something like that, like a conference might have. We're interested in presenting companies, not in necessarily what they present. Essentially at Tech Field Day, we set the table and we invite the guests, and whatever the guests talk about is what they talk about. And that's actually a question that we get a lot. People say, well, do I have to submit my presentation? Do I have to be selected? We do select the vendors, but we select them based on topics, based on what the audience would be interested in. So there has been many, many cases where a new company has come to me and said, hey, we've got a product that does this. Which event should we be in? And in most cases, they come to me because they're already in one of the spaces that we're in. But there are a lot of crossovers. There's a lot of situations where a company could be in networking or wireless, could be in storage or virtualization. And so we just talk to them about what they're interested in doing and so on. And we put them somewhere. And we hope that it works out. So that's pretty much, the gist of the selection process. And there have actually been very many companies that have come to us and said, we want to be involved. We make, a can opener or something like that. And my answer is, nope, sorry, we don't have an event for you. That's the nicest thing, because the events always sell out. We don't have to really worry about, scrambling to fill things up. We have a limited amount of time. So, saying no is actually one of the best parts of the job, the ability to not have to, bow and scramble and stuff like that. We can just say, nope, this works for us. Let's do it. So
of the 4 events you guys run, I guess maybe a 2-part question for each of you, or at least the first question and then maybe a second part for each of you. Of the 4, which one would you say is the biggest event that actually impacts that particular industry the most? Between wireless, networking, storage, and virtualization, which one do you think that you have the biggest impact kind of reverberating into that particular industry?
I'm stealing your space, Tom. I'm sorry. I just got you.
We'll let Tom go.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think wireless actually has the biggest impact on the industry for its space. There are so many people involved, and it's such a tight-knit community that getting all of them together in the same area and the same time there's a lot of impact that comes out of it. There, decisions that are made come from things that come out of Wireless Field Day. Some of the other ones, networking is still very, very big, but there's so much in networking that it's not as tight-knit as wireless to me.
And Steve?
Yeah, I'd say that wireless is probably the one industry that needed Field Day the most, because there wasn't a generic wireless conference. There wasn't a wireless trade show. There was Cisco Live, there was Aruba Airheads, but where do the other companies go? And for a long time, they've been going to Interop, and that's a great show. We do Tech Field Day Extra at Interop twice a year. But I think they really needed a wireless-focused event, and that's Tech Field Day. So I think wireless is the one that it has the most impact on. But in terms of the one where it's the biggest, it's got to be storage. I held off on doing Storage Field Day for a long time because I'm a storage guy. And I worried that if I did Storage Field Day first, then I would never do anything but storage field day because that's my background. But because it's my background and because, I'm associated with Tech Field Day and, I know all the storage companies, storage is probably the one where it's become the biggest. We've had by far more storage companies launch at Storage Field Day than every other topic combined. And we've been the site for, major product introductions, major company announcements, acquisition announcements, and all sorts of things. And storage sells out the quickest as well. We'll have the Storage Field Day sell out before I even mention its existence to anyone. So I got to say that's the biggest event.
Interesting. Have you guys thought at all, I was just thinking about this as you're mentioning storage, have you guys thought about any sort of converged sort of field day where there's multiple practices, whether it's server compute storage, compute storage, networking, kind of looking at some of those converged vendors and what they bring to the market? Is there a place for that, or you prefer keeping them separate?
We have a place for that. It's called Tech Field Day. Yeah, that's what Tech Field Day is, and what Tech Field Day was and will be again. When we have a combined event that has multiple topics in it, it's called Tech Field Day, and so that's what we do, and we've done 9 of those as well. So that's actually the most common event that we've had. But we haven't done one in a little while because we've been focused on these other areas. But I'm really excited because the next one would be Tech Field Day X, which sounds very, very ESPN X Games.
That's very cool. Well, hey, I definitely appreciate both of you guys' time. I know you're both very busy. You just got off an airplane where I think we all live a lot of our lives, fortunately or unfortunately. Any closing comments, thoughts, considerations for this viewing community in terms of why they want to attend Wireless Field Day remotely and watch it?
Tom?
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I think it's important for the people who are watching, online or even watching this recorded, to go out there and tune into the live stream. If you go to techfieldday.com, click on Wireless Field Day 7, you can actually see the list of all the presentations. Get on Twitter. If you don't have a Twitter account, stop what you're doing and go make one right now. And use the hashtag. It's hashtag WFD7. And get involved. Talk to the people who are there. Talk to the vendors. Talk to the delegates. Talk to the other people who are monitoring the stream. Make your voice heard, because wireless is one of the biggest communities for social interaction, and you want to be a part of it. You want to be involved with the people who are there.
You couldn't have said it any better, and I know even my own experience socially interacting with a bunch of the delegates, it's pretty amazing how open and what type of conversations and friendships you actually make virtually, and then you get to meet people as well. But yeah, great point. And Steve?
Yep, and I think that's just the one thing that people underestimate about Tech Field Day. I think a lot of people think that it's about the videos. A lot of people think Wireless Field Day is about Wi-Fi. It's really not. It's really about the community. It's about people. And, so when people have suggested, you should do this online or something like that, no. Wireless Field Day, Tech Field Day is about people. It's about people getting together, getting to know each other, getting to know people from the companies. It's a humanizing force for the companies. And I think that that's the thing that people overlook the most about Tech Field Day, is that it's not really tech at all. It's really People Field Day.
I like that. That's a great place to kind of end the thought. There's People Field Day. Hopefully, we're not a little bit too grassroots and kumbaya as we close out. But hey, I certainly appreciate it. I'm really excited to come out next week and see you guys again, see the delegates. I know Extreme Networks is really excited to be there. Again, I appreciate both of your time. Tom, I'll give you the final sign-off there, and Steve as well, who's sitting pretty amazingly at the airport conducting a Google interview, which is kind of cool. Showing his way around one last time. Competent Wi-Fi is always good to live our lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with that...
Yeah, I never thought I'd be able to say that airport Wi-Fi works, but it apparently does. If you look behind me, it's working. And I'm using an iPad here. How cool is that? So we've got all wireless all the time.
That's pretty impressive. And so with that, I'm going to conclude our broadcast again, guys. I really appreciate your time, and I'll see you both next week.